Hey, action figure fans! Welcome back to the Spectral Creative channel. All things action figure and toy industry from me, Scott ToyGuru Neitlich, a collector and someone who's worked in the industry, which gives me a unique perspective that I like to share. And today we are talking about action figure reviews. Specifically, the multitude of fans out there, like you and me and all of us, who review action figures online and share this kind of insight with the fan base. Heck, even I've done some of these on my channel. So, I guess in context, what I want to talk about is how these reviewers became key to the success of MattyCollector.com and the different toy lines we offered, namely Masters of the Universe Classics and DC Universe Classics, and how we chose which fan sites we worked with and the integral part they played in promoting the toys. Now, the traditional way of advertising toys is TV. And while you still see a lot of this for kids, for adult collectors, this is not really the investment toy companies are going to make to, spend the millions of dollars on shooting TV commercials and taking out the ad space. Now, there's also things like print ads, and of course there were print ads back in the day. There were lots of vintage print ads. In fact, some of these even become kind of art pieces today, sort of pieces of pop culture. And this was also a tactic that Matty Collector did use. We did take out print ads back when there were kind of magazines dedicated to the action figure collecting segment of the customer population. Now, when it came to an advertising budget, and this is kind of the core of it, well, we didn't really have much of anything. We were a very small brand. We were, for the most part, especially the first few years, kind of off the books. Any revenue that Matty Collector made was kind of a bonus for Mattel. It wasn't a brand that had a financial target. So you'll see when we did do print ads, you'll notice, in other words, don't look too closely at these print ads because let's just say they were done extremely on the cheap. It's not like we could afford to bring in an ad agency. It was, for the most part, me, a former advertising copywriter, writing the occasional headline or copy blurb, and then begging someone in the graphics group to do the layout and basically take existing photography and slap it onto an existing background. And that was basically how we got print ads. So, beg, borrow, and steal until you can at least get something that you can submit to, a Toy Fair magazine or Tome Arts, that kind of thing. So we did run print ads, but they were basically print ads that we got for free. More or less. We didn't have to pay an agency to create these. When it came to action figure review websites, this then became key to Matty Collector's success. And it was also a very low-hanging, low-cost item. Now you might wonder why we wouldn't work with send out samples, if you will, to a site like He-Man.org. That was like one of the biggest He-Man websites. Well, the answer to that is if we were sending product out to He-Man.org, that's basically preaching to the choir. The people who are coming to sites like that are dedicated to one specific brand are already fans of that brand and are probably already customers. And they're the kind of fans that are going to seek out the other websites that are reviewing new product. So when we got new samples, early samples in that we were able to send out, the idea was to find websites that were going to review all product from all toy lines, not just one, because that was going to help us grow the brand. If we were just focusing on one brand, then we also wouldn't be able to set a set of everything. DC, Motu, Ghostbusters. The idea was we were trying to create new customers, and we would have sets of product that would be for all the brands. Again, Ghostbusters, Motu, etc. So we could send them to people like Pixel Dan, for example, was a site that we work with. And we could send him a set of product for all of the brands that Matty Collector offered, and he would review all of them. If we had set this set, if you will, to a site that just did, say, He-Man, like He-Man.org, well, it's a wonderful site. They only focus on He-Man. So they wouldn't have done anything with the DC product or the Ghostbuster product that we send out. So why work with Pixel Dan? Well, back in, when he started off, he was like pretty much the only guy, and I'm sure there were others, but he was like basically doing the best video reviews out there. And he'd already proven this with product he had himself. So before we were sending him product, he was already doing product reviews. People wonder, like, why do we choose different sites to work with? Well, we recognize that he was already doing reviews of our product and other, competitive product and product aimed at the adult collector market. So we knew that we could work with him and send him product. Like when we sent him in an unnamed one box once with the bio cut out and the figure missing, and he totally got the joke and made a video about that. And that's what was great about working with someone like him. He was an adult collector and he was out there making these amazing videos. Another website we worked with was Swoosh. Again, this was a site that reviewed all toy lines, not just one brand. So we could send them a box that had everything, and they were going to review everything, not just, Ghostbusters or just He-Man or just DC or just Voltron. We also recognized that, again, Swoosh was already doing reviews previous to us sending it, and what they were excelling at, where Pixel Dan excelled at video reviews, and he was kind of doing them first, or before a lot of other people, Swoosh was doing photography reviews. They were doing really dramatic photography of the action figures as part of the review, sometimes setting them in battle scenes, sometimes almost doing joke images, having figures, next to other characters or other versions of that character. But this was, again, something that differentiated them from, if you will, a Pixel Dan, where a Swoosh review, you were going to get really cool still images. At Pixel Dan review, you were going to get really cool video reviews. So different type of reviews, but both sites were reviewing all brands. So here's a great example from Swoosh where they compared the Motu Vicor figure to the Legendary Heroes Conan figure to show how they were similar, in design. And that's a great example of what Swoosh did that made them a different type of review site than, if you will, a Pixel Dan. So we could sort of spread out the type of reviews. They also did really great things like, recreating vintage He-Man posters using the Motu Classics and building the poster as the releases came out. And seeing them do things like this, like I was able to use images like this or images like this where they would take the whole team and use these in presentations for management when I was showing why we were doing complete teams or why we were doing this certain figure, because it was going to, fit into this poster image, that this is how fans actively collected. So they really became tools for me as a brand manager to use for management. Another website, Action Figure Insider, that we partnered with, well, a big reason was because of their location. They were like 15 minutes from Mattel headquarters, or at least the gentleman Daniel Pickett, who runs the site, lived right around the corner. So that gave the advantage that if we needed to connect with someone to, for example, do an interview and get information out, we could do that very easily because he could come up to Mattel, I could meet him at a coffee shop. And like I said, location can be everything. I mean, not that Action Figure Insider isn't already an awesome site, but again, there's so many fan sites out there, and what differentiated Action Figure Insider was not just that they were a great site. They call themselves even the best toy news on the web, and I do believe in that, but they were right there. They were local, and it was easy to work with them in that sense, so we could get information out. They were also a very early and adamant supporter of JLU, which I actually thought was going to be the foundation of Matty Collector. And that site's personal passion for the JLU line was also a reason, I think, that got our attention. Like I said, we wanted to send sample shipments out that had all brands, but we knew in particular this site had a huge passion for JLU and that they were going to do sort of an extra job pushing this line and promoting it, especially when sales weren't always meeting expectations. Another great example of what Action Figure Insider did was they did these amazing toy videos. So based on the old Superpowers TV spots, not the show, but the commercials for Superpowers back in the day, they actually created their own video using DCU Classics figures mimicking this style. And again, this was something I was able to use and represent to management as showing the way collectors collected figures. I think we even showed this to retail. Like when Target and Toys R Us would come through, we would show them this video that the fan site made and say, look, this is the way fans are using the line and sharing it and doing things with it. So the fan sites became key to getting word out about the figures and finding fan sites that were going to review the figures in different ways, be it making, spoof commercials, be it videos, photography. They were like a key part of our arsenal. And no, I'm not trying to say we used guns. I'm just using an image of an arsenal because, this is what happens when you Google arsenal. We could not have had the success of Matty Collector without them. And in the end, they were an inexpensive solution for our advertising needs. Without an advertising budget, we basically could slap print ads together that were going to be seen by a few people, who read magazines, or we could send out samples, which weren't too costly. It was, the cost of the figure plus a stamp. And these fan sites were going to promote the figure right to the fan base. And it was also a great way to show we were working with the fan base, because we wanted to. Matty Collector was always supposed to be about a partnership with the fans. It couldn't have functioned without them. And by sending product out to the fan review sites, it was kind of thinking outside the traditional Mattel advertising system. I don't know how how much Mattel was doing this before we did it for Matty Collector. I know now they still send out samples, which is great that they sort of built on that. But if we were going to make at least some money, we had to make money to keep the brand going. We had to advertise it. And working with the fan sites became critical to that. And finding fan sites that would review all brands became critical to which fan sites we were going to work with, because that way we could send them one box a month of everything. If I missed anything covering fan sites, let me know in the comments below. I would love a subscription and a like on this video, because YouTube definitely likes it when you do that, and I appreciate it. Any questions, leave them below, and see you around the internet.